A hush clung to Winterfell's great hall like frost upon the godswood leaves, silencing even the smallest sound between the ancient stone pillars. Torches guttered, each flame a restless whisper trying and failing to fill the breadth of that vaulted gloom. At the high seat, Lady Catelyn Stark kept her spine straight, hands laced so tightly that the blue-veined knuckles showed white pale, though she refused to betray discomfort. Beside her sat Lord Eddard, newly returned from the Dawn's first visit to Bran's sickroom. Grief had carved fresh hollows beneath his gray eyes, yet no tremor touched his voice when he spoke. "We will begin." The words carried the quiet certainty of a man more acquainted with battlefields than court, a man who understood how peril sometimes hid itself in parchment and polite phrases. "Ser Roderick, summon them." Roderick Castle stamped the butt of his ashwood staff upon the flagstones. Lord Tyrion Lannister of Casterly Rock, presently guest of Winterfell, and Lord Peter Baelish, Master of Coin, arrived this morn from the south. The double doors boomed open. Tyrion, swathed in sable trimmed with scarlet, strode with nimble steps half as long as any man's yet twice as confident. He paused, eyes dancing over the silent watchers gathered on either side, the rust-red beards of the Karstarks. The wool-clad farmer's cat had called for testimony, the timber-scented men of the Wolfswood whose lives clung to the Stark name. Behind him walked Peter Baelish, slim as a drawn rapier, velvet doublet moss-green and silver-hinted like moonlight on swamp water. His smile floated above the hush, gentle, benign, as though wrongdoing were an impossible thought in so civilized a hall. Catelyn watched him as a hawk might watch a stoat crossing open snow, a flicker of movement in the wrong place at the wrong hour. Only 3 nights ago, Bran's direwolf summer had growled when Baelish passed the sickroom door. Maester Luwin cited simple animal unease. Cat's heart, sharpened by sleepless dread, called it omen. Tyrion halted 10 paces from the dais. "Lord and Lady Stark," he said, kneeling. His head hardly dipped lower than her own. "I trust one have not found Winterfell inhospitable?" Ned's beard twitched, the faintest ghost of a smile. "You have been shown every courtesy." He inclined his head toward Baelish. "Lord Peter, always an honor, my lord." Baelish bowed deeper, a court flourish among honest northern stone. "Though I confess I wonder at so formal an assembly. We might have spoken by the hearth over mulled wine." "Wine enough has been poured," Catelyn answered, voice soft as drifting snow yet glittering with ice beneath. "And some of it poisoned." A ripple of murmurs moved like wind in barley around the hall. Baelish's brows rose, bemused. "I pray my lady does not count me among the vintners." "Perhaps we shall discover precisely whom to blame," Ned said. "Bring it forth." At his signal, Robb emerged from the shadow beyond the dais, bearing a crimson-lined box of carved weirwood, its lid marked by a direwolf chased in iron. He placed it upon a stone table set before the 2 visitors. The iron hinges creaked. He lifted the lid to reveal the dagger. It lay on black velvet like a moonlit fawn, mirror-polished, Valyrian steel swirling with dark water ripples. The grip was dragonbone, the pommel a single smoky emerald. Even from the dais, Cat felt its chill beauty steal one's breath. The same dagger that had gleamed in candlelight on the assassin's belt, the night silent as deep snow when he crept into Bran's chamber. Tyrion blinked. "An exquisite blade," he said quietly, "but I cannot fathom why it is shown to me." "Because," Catelyn replied, "it was yours, or so Lord Peter claimed." The little man's face hardened, dwarfing in one heartbeat his normal roguish mirth. "Did he?" Tyrion twisted to Baelish. "And pray, how would you know that?" Baelish spread slender hands. "A tournament wager, as I told Lady Stark at the Crossroads Inn. You lost the dagger to me, my lord, the day Prince Joffrey bested Brandon of the Reach. You squired for him, if memory serves." Tyrion frowned, brow furrowing deeper than his scarlet sleeves. "I backed Ser Jaime that day. You know this. How convenient that your recollection differs from mine." Ned's voice cut through the rising hum. "Differences may be reconciled by proof. Lord Peter, perhaps you could provide some." Baelish shifted, palms still open like a priest offering sacrament. Alas, I possess no receipt writ upon the air that day. Gold changes hands unseen. Memory must suffice. Then we may as well call crows as witnesses, Ser Roderick growled. That may not be necessary, Maester Luwin said, stepping forward, clutching a small leather folder. His chain glinted. Iron, silver, electrum, black iron for Ravenry, gold for economics, bronze for history. Last night I searched our library, comparing records of royal tournaments these past 10 years. Lord Tyrion's own squire, one more wreck, signed the tourney rolls in his stead at Harrenhal 2 summers ago, for Jaime was absent that day. Yet the roll for Prince Joffrey's name-day tourney shows Tyrion Lannister present and wagering on a different match entirely. Baelish's eyelids fluttered, but his smile never faltered. Records are but ink. Memory is heart's truth. Is it? Cat felt words form like arrows knocked. She stepped down 2 shallow steps, gown whispering. Your heart's truth would place Tyrion at the dagger's side. Yet the assassin who carried it bore a purse heavy with silver stags freshly minted in the crown's own coffers. Why should a Lannister employ southern coin? A question for the gods, Baelish soothed. Perhaps he meant to misdirect suspicion. Or perhaps the coin points to a master closer to King's Landing than Casterly Rock. Ned's gaze rested on Baelish, a winter sunrise sliding over bare, leafless field. Your own duties bring you daily to the treasury. Baelish's laugh chimed politely. Come now, my lord. Would I truly mark myself with such an obvious trail? I thought I had earned some reputation for subtlety. Indeed, Catelyn said. Subtlety enough to whisper lies where proof grew scarce. Yet ravens fly faster than rumor, and some carry more than letters. With a faint nod she signaled. Doors at the rear of the hall opened once more, and 2 men entered flanked by stark guards. The first was tall, lantern-jawed, cheeks raw from northern wind. Ser Jorah Castle, captain of the guard still wearing travel stains. The second shambled, wrists bound, thin as a whipcord and smelling of unwashed fear. His eyes darted like mice.
Katspooky.
Tell the court your name. Halder, my lady. His voice cracked. Prentice Smith at the Lion's Paw, King's Landing. And what errand brought you north? He swallowed. The master of coin paid me 3 silvers to forge a match to yonder blade. A plain steel copy but shaped the same. Told me it were for mummery at Prince Joffrey's feast. He dared a glance at Peter. I didn't ask questions. Gods be true. A stone might have pitted Baelish for the silence that followed. Torchlight carved hard lines across his cheekbones. Still he managed a soft chuckle. Remarkable. A common smith claims I hired him without witness or contract. If I truly paid, why leave him alive to speak? Because you thought him lost among 1,000 smiths of Flea Bottom, Ned answered. But Ser Jorah has a gift for turning stones others would ignore. Jorah stepped forth, producing a tarnished badge engraved with a mockingbird. Found this in Halder's purse. He tossed it on the table. It clinked against the dagger's pommel. Master of coin's own sigil. Baelish's eyes narrowed. Counterfeits can be made by any cut purse. Enough. Ned's voice filled the hall like the clang of steel on steel. Lord Peter Baelish, you stand accused of conspiring to murder my son Brandon Stark, falsely accusing Lord Tyrion Lannister, and sowing discord between House Stark and House Lannister. How plead you? Baelish exhaled, a sigh almost tender. I plead only that you remember old friendship, Ned. Tully of Riverrun and Baelish fostered under the same roof. Did you imagine I would harm your boy? Catelyn felt an old memory stir. Peter as a lean, laughing youth whose challenge to Brandon Stark for her hand ended in blood and humiliation. His love had curdled into ambition that day. She had been blind to think it merely sorrow. Ned rose. Answer the charge. Baelish straightened. For an instant his mask slipped, revealing eyes bright with a razor's smile. I answer thus. In a single fluid motion he drew a stiletto from his sleeve, lunging toward Tyrion, no, toward the dagger on the table. Fingers brushed the dragonbone hilt, and steel hissed clear as if awakening. Guards surged forward, but Baelish moved like smoke curling around them. Catelyn cried out as he vaulted the table, blade flashing toward Ned's face. Ice glimmered at the hall's far wall, yet Ned wore no sword in council. Time slowed, a winter heartbeat stretching wide. Then a low snarl ripped across the dais. From behind the high seat bounded Grey Wind, Robb's direwolf, fur bristling silver-gray. He collided with Baelish mid-stride. Wolf and man tumbled across flagstones. The Valyrian dagger clattered free and spun, singing against stone. Guards seized Baelish while Grey Wind's yellow fangs pinned his arm. Blood seeped dark between velvet and wolf fur. Tyrion stepped back, expression unreadable, as though he studied a puzzle at court. When silence returned at last, Baelish sagged, breath ragged under Wolf's weight. Robb called Grey Wind off with a sharp whistle. The wolf withdrew, eyes gleaming like twin moons. Ned descended the dais, retrieving the dagger. He met Baelish's gaze. Two men of different snows, one crisp and honest, the other slush hiding jagged ice beneath. "Peter Baelish," he said, voice steady. "You are hereby banished to the cells beneath Winterfell to await judgment. Should my son die, so will you." Baelish bared blood-slick teeth. "And if he lives? Then justice will still demand its price." Ned turned. "Chain him." Iron shackles bit Baelish's wrists. As they dragged him away, his laugh floated behind like chimney smoke dispersing into night. "Winterfell's court plays at justice, yet knows nothing of the game," he called. "In King's Landing the game is all." His words dwindled down the corridor, but Catelyn felt their chill linger. The hall breathed again. Murmurs rose. Tyrion approached the dais, bowing slightly. "My lord, my lady, I thank you for clearing my name. I have business beyond the wall, a whim of curiosity. But perhaps I shall remain a while to see how your justice fares." "You are welcome," Ned said, "provided you bring no more southern games to my house." Tyrion's smile twitched. "Oh, Winterfell has games enough now. The lions of the rock do not forgive lightly, and the mockingbird's whispers carry far." He glanced at the dagger, then at Bran's empty place beside the dais. "Pray that boy wake soon. Truth is best spoken by those who lived to see it." After Tyrion departed, Catelyn felt the weight of the hall lift, replaced by a heavier burden still. The knowledge that danger needed no red cloaks nor open banners. It had ridden north hidden in friendship and coin. Ned closed the weirwood lid on the dagger box. Yet the chill of Valyrian steel seemed to linger in the air between them like a promise unmet. Twilight painted Winterfell's courtyard in bruised hues. Snowflakes fell soft, first of the season, drifting upon rampart and roof and the crook of Maester Luwin's arm as he accompanied Ned and Cat toward the broken tower. From that jagged ruin Bran had fallen. Now within its crumbling walls lay secrets waiting to be unearthed, or so the Maester believed. "I traced purchases of rare parchment, my lord," Luwin said. "Receipts hidden among treasury ledgers that bear Baelish's personal seal. He ordered copies of the tower's architectural drawings months ago." Ned's jaw tightened. Why would he desire such? Cat's thoughts raced. Diagrams could reveal weak stones, hidden niches, paths an agile boy might climb to spy a pair of Lannister lovers. If Baelish learned of that climb, could he have prayed for Bran's fall, to fan discord between lion and wolf? Peter wore schemes as other men wore cloaks, wrapping layers over layers until all warmth was for himself alone. They entered the tower. Dust motes swirled in torchlight. Ned knelt by the pile of straw where Bran's footings had first slipped. He ran calloused fingers over the wall, brushing ancient mortar. "Baelish learned of my boy's climb, perhaps from a paid groom," he murmured. "From there, a single push of opportunity." Cat touched his shoulder. "Yet Bran still breathes. We must heal what is, before we chase what might have been." She felt his sorrow ease fractionally under her palm. Love remained their surest fortress, though stones might crumble and daggers flash. Still, she knew they could not ignore game nor player. The wheel of southern intrigue had rolled north at last, and Winterfell's snows would no longer muffle its turning. In the dungeons beneath Winterfell, Torches hissed in iron brackets, sweat and mildew staining the air. Baelish sat cross-legged upon the straw-strewn floor of his cell, wrists manacled yet posture calm, as though he dined upon the rush. Footsteps echoed soft, unhurried. Varys stepped from shadow, spider-silk robes whispering. His bald head gleamed in the torchlight. Little birds sing loud in cold cages, he mused. I thought to lend them an ear. Baelish looked up, a cat who found his reflection in pond water. I wondered which whisper would fetch you. The one that spoke of a Valyrian blade and a boy's broken body. Cruel tales travel far. Varys folded plump hands.
Tel Mistrzostwom Europy, Peter.
Why risk so much on this scheme? Baelish's lips curved. Chaos is not the pit, my dear spider. It is the ladder. Even the rungs carved of ice lead upward. And yet the ladder now lies broken in stark hands. Only until someone shows them how high they might climb. Baelish leaned forward, chain links softly clinking. If I whisper stark honor into the right ears, who knows what upheaval might follow? A war begun for a boy's blood may drown half the realm. Varys's face remained placid, eyes sad as a maester's final confession. The realm tires of blood. It yearns for peace. Peace feeds no hungers but sloth. Give men a war, and they rise. And fall, Varys said quietly. He turned away. Some ladders lead only to gallows. His footsteps receded, leaving Peter's laughter to dance alone amid the dripping stone. High above, dawn crept over Winterfell in blushes of rose and pearl. In Bran's chamber, the hush of long vigil pressed upon Catelyn's ears. The rustle of linen, the soft rasp of Maester Luwin's quill updating his log, Summer's low, rhythmic breathing at the bedside. Bran's eyelids fluttered. Cat straightened so sharply her chair scraped oak on stone. Ned, half dozing in a corner, sprang to his feet. Bran's fingers twitched where they lay entwined in hers. A breath hitched, a child's gasp drawn from wells of pain or miracle. Then his eyes opened, glazed at first, blue as North River's thawing. Mother! His voice was reed-thin but alive. Tears stung her lashes. I am here, my sweet boy. She brushed hair from his brow, mindful of the bandages. He blinked, gaze roaming the chamber until it found Ned. Father, I saw them, the Queen and the Kingslayer. They pushed me. Silence smothered the room, heavier than stone.
Ned swallowed.
You remember? Bran nodded, face drawn with the distant terror of half-buried memory now forced into daylight. Golden hair, they were kissing. Then I fell. Outside the tower, a lone direwolf howled. A low, mournful sound that seemed to tremble through every wall and heart within Winterfell's gray embrace. Ned exchanged a glance with Cat. Raw, wordless, scorching as the first blaze of dawn after polar night. Truth had surfaced, and with it the thread that, once pulled, might unravel the highest tapestry in the Seven Kingdoms. Baelish's knife plot had not merely failed. It had cracked open a vault of darker treacheries. Catelyn smoothed Bran's blankets, forcing calm into her tone. Rest, my love. Speak no more now. But Ned straightened, duty's armor settling upon tired shoulders. I must summon counsel, he whispered. For the sake of our son, of all our children, we must decide how Winterfell answers the Iron Throne's sins. As he left, the first winter sunbeam pierced the shutters, falling across Bran's face like a soft promise. Yet Catelyn knew promises could slice as keen as Valyrian steel, and dawn's light sometimes revealed more monsters than night's darkness ever dared. For ravens beat skyward from Winterfell's rookery, wings black against pale clouds, bearing scrolls for Riverrun, for White Harbor, for the Eyrie, and one sealed with both direwolf and lion, addressed to King's Landing itself. In the courtyard below, Tyrion Lannister watched them vanish, rubbing gloved hands against the chill. Carry stark truth gently, he murmured. Mayhap it weighs less than Lannister lies. He turned as Jon Snow approached, cloak swirling. You depart, Jon asked. Not yet. Tyrion's gaze lingered on the rookery tower. I believe Winterfell will grow interesting before I find the wall. He smiled crookedly. And I do love a good book, especially one whose chapters write themselves in blood and silver. Jon's gloved fingers stroked Ghost's white fur. Blood is easy to spill, harder to clean away. Indeed, Tyrion agreed. Yet sometimes the stain reveals hidden patterns. Watch closely, Stark bastard. The realm is a tapestry being rewoven before our eyes. He tipped an invisible hat and walked toward the great hall, where Ned Stark's banner of the direwolf trembled in the freshening wind. Snowflakes swirled, as if the weirwood gods themselves stirred restlessly beneath the earth, sensing that the order of things had shifted. Far to the south, in a bedchamber of Maegor's Holdfast, Queen Cersei Lannister stood before a mirror of polished obsidian. A letter lay open on her dressing table. Crimson wax pooled beneath the broken direwolf seal. Her green eyes narrowed as she traced the Stark handwriting. I know what you did to my son. Winter comes for us all. Cersei tore the parchment into ragged shreds. So the boy remembers, she hissed. Jaime leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, golden hair catching candlelight. How much? Enough to threaten everything. She swept the shards into the hearth. Flames flared, devouring truth. We must act. The Hand will use this against us. He is honor-bound to present it to Robert. Jaime's tone carried wry resignation. And Robert honors the cup more than the crown these days. Cersei's nails scratched polished wood. Then we must snatch the crown before Ned Stark can wield honor as sword. Peter's failure costs us dearly. Peter's game was always his own, Jaime said. Now we play ours. She lifted her chin. Summon Grand Maester Pycelle. The king rides on a hunt soon. We will ensure he never returns. Her smile was thin, a razor hidden in velvet. In the chill pre-dawn of Winterfell, Ned Stark knelt before the heart tree, red leaves trembling like living flame against the corpse-white bark. Blood tears welled from carved eyes, as if the old gods wept for the path he must now tread. One of peril, yet lit by truth founded upon his son's memory and Baelish's revealed treachery. He set his palm to the wet trunk. Grant me, strength, he whispered. For Winterfell, for the north, for my children. Somewhere behind him, a direwolf howled, echo pure and cold, and Ned rose, cloak billowing. Inside the castle, plans were already spinning. Ravens, alliances, blades drawn in shadow. The game Baelish prized had not ended with his chains. Instead, it had spread, flowering like deadly frost across stone walls and hearts alike. Yet Ned Stark's blade was honor and the north behind him. He would wield both, though it cost him peace, blood, or life. And high above, ravens flew southward bearing truths sharp enough to cut kings. Gray light seeped through the slit windows of Ned Stark's solar, revealing a world washed clean by fresh snow that had drifted all night. Little lingered of dawn's pale warmth. The cold had teeth, and it found even the cracks between stones to gnaw at. Ned stood cloaked at the hearth where two hissing logs fought to survive. Though the blaze licked his boots with heat, he felt no comfort. A map of the King's Road lay across his oak table, pinned by a dagger he scarcely remembered drawing. Catelyn, wrapped in a thick shawl, watched him trace a finger southward to where the trident snake bent toward King's Landing. Too soon, she murmured. Baelish's schemes have only begun to unfurl. If you ride south now, if I wait, the Queen will strike first. Ned's voice held the grim weight of certainty. Robert's hunt departs within the fortnight. Cersei will contrive his death before my ravens can reach him.
Katz brausknit.
We need allies, not warnings alone. Hoster will stand with us, but Riverrun is weeks away. The Eyrie may be nearer. Lisa has cloistered herself behind the bloody gate, trembling at every shadow. To pry her out would take a siege or gentle words I do not possess. He exhaled fog. We have one blade yet untested. The dwarf. Tyrion. Cat almost smiled. You mean to ride to King's Landing with a Lannister for counsel? I mean to send him. Ned moved the dagger an inch, a night leap on parchment. He will thank us for clearing his name. Let him carry the tale of Baelish's treachery to his father and brother. If Tywin believes Peter tried to provoke war through his son's blood, he may reign Cersei before she gifts him a crown of Northmen's spears. Cat set a hand upon the map, stalling his restless motions. Tyrion serves himself first. Then we pay him in coin he values, knowledge. Ned lifted his gaze. He yearns to see the wall, yet lingers here. Offer him audience with every maester along his road. Archives of Winterfell, tales of the first men. He will carry our message in return. She considered. It may work, but Peter still breathes in our dungeons, bleeding secrets with every hour. If Lannister gold reaches him, it will not. Ned's lips thinned. I assigned Vayen Pool and 4 guards whose loyalty lies north as the wall. No southern coin will buy them. At that, Cat yielded, though unease gnawed like rats. A chill drifted over the room that even the fire could not banish, perhaps born of stone, or of knowledge that the game's next turn might snap beneath the weight of honor. Down in the yard, Robb trained at spear with Hallis Malin while Grey Wind circled restless. Their shouts and the wolf's snarls floated up, muffled by new snow. Ned glanced toward the casement. Robb grows, Catelyn said softly, reading his thoughts. He stands straighter since the night of the trial. He stands heavier with what he saw. Ned turned from the window. Warriors are tempered by blows. I would sooner my son temper by peace. Yet the forge is lit. Cat returned to the hearth, feeding a knot of pine to the flames. When the lads of House Stark begin to fight, the realm should tremble, she said, echo of pride warming her voice. But first let us see Bran healed. Bran Stark awoke on his second day of consciousness to the scent of broth and the soft patter of snow against shuttered glass. Maester Luwin hovered, carefully spooning thin carrot soup past Bran's cracked lips. Summer dozed beside the bed, head on paws, one ear twitching at Luwin's every gentle clink. Robb entered carrying a bundle of russet fur. Look who begged at the kitchen door. It was Nymeria, Arya's wolf, bigger now, ribs stretched under winter coat. She wormed free of his grip to sniff Bran's blankets. The boy's smile wobbled. Where's Arya? His voice rasped like dry leaves. She rides each dawn with Ser Roderick, Robb said. Father says sword work may keep her from climbing walls again. He grinned. Though she still claims water dancing beats northern steel. Bran's lids drooped. I miss climbing. His fingers twitched as if feeling stone grain that no longer greeted them. Nymeria nuzzled his palm. He found comfort in her warmth. A shadow crossed his expression.
I dream de flu, Robb.
Over the wall, through storm clouds. I saw, he faltered. What did you see? Dark things. A boy with skin like milk water. And 3-eyed ravens calling me to look down. Bran's eyes, cobalt pools, turned distant. When I looked, I saw the Queenslayer's sword striking at father. Robb's cheeks blanched. It was dream only. He shot Luwin a glance. The maester placed a calming hand on Bran's brow. Dreams tell truths in ruined riddles, he said. Let your body mend before you weigh their meaning. Bran nodded, drifting toward sleep. Outside, Nymeria wuffed and Summer answered with a soft growl. Their twin voices braided in an eerie harmony that sent gooseflesh across Robb's arms. When the boy slept, Robb led Luwin aside. My brother's visions grow stranger. He speaks of ravens with 3 eyes. Is it fever? Possibly. Luwin's chain rattled. Or his mind grasps shape in chaos. Either way, we keep him warm and calm, and trust the rest to the gods. Robb gazed at Bran's still legs beneath quilts. I trust the old gods, he murmured, though a part of him wondered if gods would reward such trust. In the cells, Baelish baited his jailers with philosophy. Tell me, Goodman, he said to Madhar the guard. If a bird sings sweetly in its cage, is it truly captive? Perhaps the cage merely frames its art. Madhar spat. Caged birds' dinner smells of shit and fear. Keep your honeyed riddles, mockingbird. He slammed the meal slot shut on Peter's grin. The cell dripped, straw moldered. Yet Baelish sat cross-legged, eyes half-lidded, mind weaving. He had bribed low guards in darker pits. Here, Ned Stark's honor sealed every purse. But honor could be bent. Peter studied each guard's gait, each sigh of boredom. In time, someone would crack. He must bleed truth slowly, just enough to bait, never enough to empty the well. A day later, Vayen Poole visited. He bore a ledger and a single quill. "Lord Stark offers you chance to confess under quill and record," Poole said. "Names, motives, any accomplices. In exchange, he will consider mercy." Baelish chuckled. "Mercy for truth? Truth lies dead if sold too cheap." Poole's reply was a shrug. "The hand's terms stand." He left. Peter exhaled. Mercy was not the goal. The goal was release, and release demanded leverage. A rumor let loose could serve. He needed a raven, a tongue, a crack large enough for whisper to slip through. After sunset came Luwin himself, armed with a vial of milk of the poppy. "For your pain," the maester offered. "What pain?" "Only tedium." Baelish accepted nonetheless. A clear head required rest. "Tell me, learned master, how fares Lord Stark with truth? Does it sing?" "Truth seldom sings, but lies scream when cut free." Luwin's eyes gleamed in torchlight. "Sleep, Peter. The longer you wait, the sharper the blade of justice." Sleep he did, yet dreams came waking. Red leaves falling like copper coins. A sky ladder of corpses climbing toward a bleeding moon. He rose gasping in darkness, nails digging his palms, vowing not to end among those corpses. He would climb again on bones if need be. Tyrion Lannister's farewell feast was too grand for a guest who had arrived bound and accused, but Winterfell regarded guest right with reverence. The great hall steamed from hearth to rafter. Boar glazed in honey, oat bread, and spiced ale warmed the bellies of free folk and nobles alike. Tyrion toasted the Starks. To hosts whose daggers point only at truth. Robb grinned at that. Arya giggled. Sansa nodded with a courtesy twice her age. Rickon, small and red-cheeked from tussling with Shaggy Dog, clapped. Ned's final benediction was terse. "Carry my words faithfully, Lord Tyrion. Tell your father the North harbors no quarrel so long as Lannister hands remain clean of Stark blood. I shall deliver them, sharp as the blade that nearly parted your son's head," Tyrion said, "and I shall carry a gift in return." He produced a slender volume, Chronicles of the First Men as recorded by Maester Childers. Robb raised a brow. "It belongs in Winterfell's library," Ned told him. Tyrion inclined his head. "After I make a copy in King's Landing, it shall return home." He lifted his cup again. "To books, light in dark places." Later, as flagons emptied and minstrels lulled the hall to drowsy warmth, Tyrion slipped onto a parapet overlooking the Godswood. Snow fell in ghostly sheets. Jon Snow joined him, ghost pacing at heel. "You leave come dawn?" Jon asked. "Before. Southbound riders prefer the sun at their backs." Tyrion leaned on stone. "I shall stop at Moat Cailin, then join the King's Road. Yet part of me longs for the wall still." "You will reach it one day." Jon's breath fogged. "There are vows I must say there." Tyrion studied him. "The vows of the Night's Watch leave little for a bastard's future. Are you sure your place lies in black?" Jon turned his face to falling snow. "Father promised no reward but honor. The wall is all that remains to me." "All?" Tyrion tapped the parapet. "Your brother needs you. War may come. The wall will not march to Winterfell's aid." Ghost padded forward, muzzle lifted to night. Jon's gaze followed the wolf's. "Duty is heavier than honor," he said quietly. Tyrion hummed. "True, but perhaps duty lies where you choose to plant it." He clapped Jon's shoulder. "Come visit King's Landing before you take the black. I will show you curiosities the North cannot dream." Jon half smiled. "Curiosities or corruptions? Often the same." Tyrion's laughter faded into wind. 3 days passed before ravens returned. One bore Riverrun's seal. Lord Hoster would commit men if Stark banners rode, yet his health no longer allowed him to lead. He offered Edmure in his stead. Another raven carried Manderley's whale sigil. White Harbor pledged coin and ships, provided the conflict stayed just. The Ares bird arrived last. Blank parchment, only the seal, as though Lisa answered in silence. Catelyn crushed the message, anger warring with despair. By then, Bran had begun to sit upright. Arya danced him tales of Nymeria's hunts. Sansa plaited his hair. Still, the boy's legs lay limp. Each morning, Catelyn forced a smile. Each night, she sobbed alone, grief leashed tight lest it lash her children. In Ned's war room, banners dotted a great map, Karstark sunbursts, Umber giants, Mormont black bears. Each host balanced precariously between fealty and fear. Ned returned pins to the chest, heart heavy. He would not march south yet. Instead, he would write another letter, this one sealed not for Riverrun or Manderley, but for Stannis Baratheon on Dragonstone.
Ned penned carefully.
The honor of the realm hangs upon a single truth. The succession is broken. I implore you to come north or summon me south. Together we must guard Robert's heir, if any heir be lawful. I fear treachery at court. He included nothing of Cersei's plot. Ravens could be intercepted. Yet he prayed Stannis would read between lines. That night he walked the ramparts alone until footsteps crunched behind him. It was Theon Greyjoy, cheeks ruddy from ale. "My lord," Theon said, leaning on the parapet. "Word is a king's hand seldom sits still. Are we riding soon?" "Nay, yet you will ride." Ned faced him. "I need a swift rider across the neck to Pike. Ask Lord Balon Greyjoy to hold his longships idle. Tell him the Lannisters stir, and I may have need of the sea." Theon's grin flashed. "My father loves aught that irks the lion. He may aid. He may remain silent and watch the lions devour wolves first." Ned clasped the boy's shoulder. "Remind him he has a son beneath my roof." Theon's grin softened, but he nodded. He liked to fancy himself hostage no longer. Yet reality weighed heavier than fancy. In the Great Hall, Sansa practiced courtesy with Septa Mordane, pouring imaginary wine for a line of carved wooden guests. Suddenly the doors thudded open, and Arya burst in waving a parchment. "News from King's Landing," she cried, dodging Mordane's reprimand. "A raven for father." Ned received it moments later. The wax bore the royal stag and crowned lion entwined. His face tightened as he broke the seal and read. King Robert summoned him south to serve his hand once more, to testify concerning Baelish's betrayal, and to bring Bran, whose witness might free the realm of seditious rumor. The letter oozed honeyed courtesy, yet the subtext rung with steel. "Come and bow or be named traitor to the throne." Catelyn read over his shoulder. "They would pluck our children like baubles from a mantle. They intend to cage truth," Ned said. "If Bran stands before Robert, Cersei will murder boy and king alike the moment words cross his lips. Then refuse the summons, and let the Iron Throne label me rebel? The North would bleed." Ned's fingers crushed the scroll. "We must answer, yet not upon their board."
Esamen ser Rodrik, mance moyen, halis moyen.
"Quietly prepare a journey. We ride within a week." Catelyn grasped his sleeve. "You cannot take Bran." "I will not." His eyes met hers. "I will send Arya and Sansa in his stead. They are hostages already. Better to shield Bran here." He lowered voice. "And perhaps their presence will stay Cersei's blade from Robert a while, if she fears harming her son's betrothed." Cat paled but conceded. Sansa dreamed of southern courts. Arya dreamed of swords. Both might find themselves in nightmares instead. Yet choice was illusion. War had chosen for them. By the next sunset, Tyrion departed with a small company. Bronn the Sellsword, 2 Stark men-at-arms for escort, and Jon Snow as far as the Trident. Jon embraced Robb hard, whispered promises to care for their sisters, then swung astride a shaggy gray courser. Ghost loped ahead, pale streak against whitened earth. Robb watched them through frost-filmed gates until shapes blurred into trees. Beside him, gray wind whined. Robb set a hand on the wolf's head. "Soon enough, boy. Father leaves us to mind Winterfell." We must prove worthy. He spent that night in the armory, oiling sword and sharpening his mind on silent intentions. Hold fast, guard Bran, gather bannermen. Sleep came late. In the steaming caverns below the glass gardens, Maester Luwin guided Bran through first lessons of sitting without support. Straight spine, lad. Balance from the hips. Bran gritted teeth as summer braced him with a shoulder. Sweat beaded his brow despite lingering cold. He managed a heartbeat upright before slumping. Luwin caught him. Again. Bran's small voice flared with stubborn fire. Shadows shifted. Hodder emerged, ducking low, his giant frame dwarfing hot pools. Hodder, he smiled shyly. Hodder will help, Luwin said. Bran nodded. Together they contrived a sling of leather straps around Hodder's chest. Bran nestled like a joey in a mother's pouch, torso upright while Hodder walked. Each swaying stride brought new pain, yet Bran felt height again. Head above Maester's shoulder, air cooler, world wider. His laughter echoed chamber walls. When finished, Bran sagged into Summer's fur, trembling. I felt like a rider on a tall horse. You were, Luwin said. Only the horse spoke but one word. Hodder grinned. Hodder! That night Bran dreamed of a great weirwood whose roots burrowed through crypts of kings, and of Hodder become a stag, carrying him over moonlit snows. Down in the dungeons, Baelish counted footfalls and shifts. The guard Madhar, though loyal, loved dice. Another guard, Willem, hummed to herself in the dark tunnel when lonely. Peter waited until Willem's shift overlapped Mather's by a single bell, when hallway traffic thinned. Sweet Willem, he called through bars, voice low. Did you hear? They ride south soon. She paused. I mind none of your plots. No plot, only concern. He coughed. The mockingbird has flown. His gold rots in chests lost to the snow. But if the wolf marches with cubs in tow, lions will follow, and Winterfell's belly left bare. Willem frowned at the dim corridor. Riddles? Not at all. Tell your lord captain that the queen readies Sellswords to seize Winterfell once Ned Stark leaves. But only Peter knows their route. He tapped bars. Release me, and I share. She laughed, as if I'd undo iron for sharpened tongue. Then let Winterfell burn. Lions love feast. He turned away. The next morning Ser Jorah visited. You speak of Sellswords? I speak truth to those who listen. Baelish's eyes gleamed. Your warden misjudges the queen's thirst. She will raise Winterfell if need be. Send word to Ned Stark, before his children ride south. Jorah departed frowning. Later that day Ned himself came, gaunt with sleepless nights. Baelish presented his story. Cersei had purchased the Golden Company, planned to land at White Harbor, march on Winterfell the moment Ned rode south. Ned listened, stone-faced. Golden Company sails the narrow sea, he said at last. The distance is months. My daughters leave within days. Ships sail swift when guided by gold and gale, Baelish insisted. Yet if you must, test it. Send riders to White Harbor. If no Sellswords, then I am liar in chain. And if Sellswords appear, I am fool for ignoring. Ned turned toward the corridor. I will send riders. As for you, I remain caged, Baelish finished, smile thin. But when your riders return with truth, remember who served it.
Nedes riders departed at dawn.
Robb watched them vanish along the King's Road. He shifted, uneasy. If Sellswords come, we need more men. Men we have, Great John Umber boomed, stomping through drifts. And giants. Grey Wind barked at the joke. Yet the joke weighed heavy. Giants were extinct, Sellswords plentiful. 2 days of waiting felt like 2 seasons. Snow thickened. Ravens cried overhead like ragged edges of battle banners. Bran's strength improved enough to ride a wicker basket upon Hodder's back through the Godswood, where he stroked the heart tree's clawform face and whispered, I'm still Bran. Remember me. That evening ravens returned from White Harbor. Ned broke seals with trembling fingers. The reports were clear. No Golden Company. No ships bearing lion banners. White Harbor's dockmaster swore only fishing cogs and merchant galleys in port. Ned exhaled relief and suspicion. Baelish had lied again. Or had he? Lies nested in truth. Perhaps Sel's words would land elsewhere. The web expanded faster than he could untangle. He descended to the cells. "No Sel's words," he told Peter. Baelish bowed his head. "Then I am liar." He lifted eyes, flicker of mischief. "Or your riders ask the wrong questions. You test my patience. Patience is coin. Spend it." Peter leaned forward. "You ride south, Stark. Offer Baelish a place at your side. Show King's Landing you command Mockingbird as well as Wolf. My arrest will brand you tyrant in co." Ertley whispers, "Free me. Let me walk as your hostage." Ned's silence stretched. The idea carried logic, but logic steeped in poison. "I trust you least. Trust is not required. Only chains. Bind me with promise. My life for daughter's safety." Peter smoothed his torn sleeve. "The Queen honors bargains when knives press. Cersei honors nothing. Then force her." Baelish's smile glinted sharp. "Keep me alive and visible. She dares not strike your children while I may still breathe secrets in Robert's ear. Kill me now, and you stand alone in the viper's nest."
Ned clenched fists.
"I will decide." He left the dungeon wrestling honor against pragmatism. In his solar, Catelyn awaited, reading his face. "Peter wants freedom? A gilded chain. He would ride as our prisoner, bargaining chip. He may serve." Kat's voice quavered. She hated the thought. "But keep eyes on him day and night."
Ned paced.
"I swore never to deal with devils." He paused at the hearth. Flames hissed. "Yet to keep my daughters safe, I may need fire hot enough to burn snakes." Departure came beneath a sky pewter gray. Stark guards strapped saddlebags to horses while servants secured wagons loaded with blankets for the girls, arrow crates for soldiers, and supply barrels. Sansa hugged Septa Mordain, weeping at leaving home. Arya tucked her wooden practice sword into a pack, refusing Septa's offer of ribbons. Jon Snow stood on the steps above the yard, cloak drawn tight. "Ride swift," he told Arya. She reached small arms around him. "Find me in King's Landing. Needle still needs lessons. And you still need ears," Jon teased, flicking her ear. Arya punched his shoulder and smiled teary. Sansa kissed Bran's brow through misty eyes. "Write me," she whispered. "I will," Bran promised. "And you write me." Summer licked Sansa's hand. Lady yipped from behind, uneasy. Robb clasped Ned's forearm. "I'll guard Winterfell as if you stood beside me." "You will." Ned met his gaze. "Send ravens each fortnight. Rally bannermen at first sign of Lannister banners." He lowered voice. "If Golden Company truly sails, then war will find the North regardless." Robb nodded, jaw set. Catelyn hugged Sansa and Arya, long and fierce. Then Ned helped her onto her horse. She would ride halfway with them before turning back. Baelish emerged flanked by guards, wrists manacled, but dressed again in velvet, though plain, no mockingbird pin. He bowed ironically to Ned. "On your life," Ned warned. "On my life," Peter echoed, smiling. They set out. Robb watched until hoofbeats faded beyond the winter barley. Gray wind paced, whining. In the quiet that followed, Robb felt the keep grow cavernous. He ascended the ramparts, eyes scanning South Road until twilight swallowed it. War had not yet come, but its ghost whispered along every stone. The column wound through Wolfswood, snow powder rising from hoof and paw. Hodder carried Bran at the rear. Summer and Nymeria flanked like ghost sentinels. Baelish rode mid-column, guards close. He studied forest shadows with unfathomable eyes. Sansa sang to calm her nerves. Arya whistled a Bear Island marching tune taught by Lyanna Mormont years ago. Ned rode ahead deep in thought. At the neck of the road where pines thinned, they met riders in Barrowton colors. The leader hailed, "My lord," a message from Lady Dustin. Lannister envoys reached Barrowton offering trade coin and requesting harbor for troops bound north. Ned's brows knit. What answer? She refused them, but fears more envoys come. Ned dismissed the riders with thanks, slipped the parchment into his cloak. When camped that night, he confronted Baelish near the fire. Yoursel's words were envoys. Peter warmed hands over flame. A distinction without difference. When envoys come, armies follow. You dangled half-truths again. Baelish's smile flickered. I dangled survival. Take the tale to Robert. Let him weigh Lannister motives. He leaned closer. And remind him the twins he calls children wear golden hair. Ned's knuckles whitened around his wine cup. He had not spoken that suspicion to another soul. You know, it is a ladder rung everyone climbs eventually, if they climb at all. Ned rose, cloak swirling snow. He walked away to breathe cold honesty before anger consumed reason. 3 days later, they reached Moat Cailin, battered towers looming from bog. There Ned left Catelyn to ride back with Bran and Hodder, trusting the ancient fortress to guard them till winter came. Sansa wept. Arya sniffled. Bran clutched Cat's hand. Right me, Bran repeated. Ned felt his heart cleave as they parted. He kissed Cat under stone arch. Keep him safe. I'll keep us all, she vowed, yet eyes brimmed with what could not be spoken. That safety might shatter beneath the first strike of war. They watched Ned's company ride south, dusting marsh reeds with frost feathers. Baelish glanced back once at Catelyn atop her horse, frost glittering on her auburn hair. His smile faded to something almost tender, then turned sly as he faced ahead. The game's board shifted yet again. In Winterfell's library, Robb pored over old campaign logs. Carol Vance's march during the Blackfire Rebellion, Lord Went's ride to 9 Stars. He traced routes, supply depots. Ser Roderick entered. Lord Robb, the old knight said, mustache bristling. Ravens demand your counsel. Deepwood Mott's riders sighted gray sails. Ironborn, off Stony Shore. Robb's heart tightened. My father prayed Balon would heed him, not raid. Prayers seldom curb krakens. Roderick's tone was grim. Shall we ready men? Robb closed the logbook. Aye. Gather Manderly's spearmen, Tallheart bowmen. Winterfell rides at dawn. He swallowed. But send a raven to Pike first. Remind Lord Balon his son's life rests here. Roderick saluted. As he left, Robb ran hands through hair. Decisions came faster than thought. That night, Bran dreamt of Iron Men wading ashore, water glistening red. In the dream, he flew above them, a raven with 3 eyes, crying warning. He woke sweating. Summer nudged him. Bran clung to the wolf, whispering, Tell Robb. Somehow Summer understood. He trotted from Bran's chamber, seeking the Lord. Robb met the wolf on the stairs. Summer's eyes, gold in torchlight, held something urgent. Bran's direwolf seldom left him. Robb followed Summer back. Bran recounted his dream. Robb's skin crawled. A dream, he said, but his mind sought meaning. Theon's father, the ships, coincidence or omen. He ordered double watches on the walls. Dawn saw Ironborn sails vanish southward. No raid made. Yet Bran's dream lingered like scent of smoke. Far south, in the Kingswood, Robert Baratheon roared with laughter as a boar broke from brush. Spears lowered, dogs bayed. Cersei watched from palanquin, hand shading sun from bright green eyes. Beside her, Lancel Lannister uncorked a fresh wineskin. Too strong, she murmured, adding clear liquor laced with something powdered. Lancel trembled as she swirled. He loves his strong wine. Robert drank greedily, wiped mouth, bellowed again. His mount stumbled. He steadied, drunk. The hunt continued deeper into thick tangles. Cersei smiled faint as wolves might before final bite. At King's Landing's gates that same day, Ned Stark's party arrived, weary yet determined. Gold cloaks admitted them. Small folk whispered at direwolves trotting behind southern horses. Sansa's eyes widened at towering walls. Arya stared at filthy alleys. On the Red Keep's East Terrace, Varys awaited robed in lavender. Lord Stark, he cooed, bowing. The realm rejoices at your safe arrival. The realm looks ill-fed, Ned observed, eyeing starving children in the courtyard beyond. Wars and winters make for lean bellies. Varys fluttered hands. But come, rooms prepared, baths drawn. His grace remains on hunt still. How long? Ned asked. Another day, maybe two. Varys's smile saddened. Hunts can prove unpredictable. Peter Baelish, still manacled yet now under gold cloak guard, offered a slight bow. Home sweet home, Lord Hand. Shall we play? Ned ignored him. Instead he turned to Varys. I will see Grand Maester Pycelle at once. Bring his ledgers on royal accountings. As you command. Varys bowed deeper, yet left behind a chill as cold as any northern night. That evening, as candles burned low, Sansa and Arya dined in a snug chamber overlooking the Blackwater. Lady lay at Sansa's feet. Nymeria sprawled near Arya. Septa Mordane fussed over etiquette. It smells of fish, Arya complained, prodding a lemon cake. It smells of trade, Sansa corrected, though she too missed Winterfell's pine. Across the keep, Baelish sat in a modest cell, freshly appointed. Ned's compromise between dungeon and freedom. 2 guards stationed outside. Peter dipped a quill in ink and wrote a single line on parchment. The wolf enters lion's den. The cubs tremble alone. He folded it, pressed a thumb to seal, whispered to a passing rat as though rodent bore wings. Yet later a boy, page to Grand Maester, slipped the note beneath a door. Loras Tyrell found it. He burnt it after reading, but its whisper reached Queen Cersei by moonrise. She summoned Pycelle. Loose the mockingbird from his cage, she ordered. He sings a sweeter song free. Pycelle waddled to object. Her glare felled his protests. By dawn Baelish's cell sat unlocked. Guards found gagged but alive. A sign of subtlety. Peter walked the red keep corridors barefoot, blending among servants until he reached the Tower of the Hand. He ducked within Ned's solar, found no Stark, only maps, letters, lists. He thumbed through until one letter arrested him. Sealed but unsent, addressed to Stannis Baratheon. Peter smiled thin. He pocketed it. Then he withdrew a second parchment, unscripted save for the royal sigil. With nimble flourish he penned, Lord Stannis, flee Dragonstone. Traitor Ned Stark plots your murder to claim regency for House Stark. Signed, a friend. He sealed it with Ned's extra wax stamp. At dawn, a raven took wing. Peter left unseen, gliding like midnight fog toward Queen Cersei's apartments. Ned spent morning interrogating ledgers. Purchases of rare poisons through the royal apothecary. Lavish surplus for the city watch. Cutbacks in northern grain shipments. Each pattern pointed to Cersei consolidating power. As he closed a tome, Varys slid into the chamber. I fear ill news, the spider said, voice hushed. Word from the Kingswood. The king was gored by boar at dusk yesterday, wounds grave. Ned's blood chilled. Where is he?
En route, borne Ponlité.
Varys's eyes glimmered with something like sorrow. He may not see sunset.
Ned slapped ledgerkött.
Summon Pycelle, prepare milk of the poppy, and find the queen. Already informed, Varys lingered. Lord Baelish's cell was found empty. Ned cursed. Honor had gambled and lost. He stormed out, snow-gray cloak billowing, past startled servants and golden guards. Hours later, Robert Baratheon lay in his bedchamber, breath rattling through froth-bubbled beard. The stench of blood and wine filled the room like spilt secrets. Cersei knelt beside him, dabbing brow. Pycelle hovered with tinctures. Ned approached. My friend, Robert rasped, eyes half open. I am here, Ned said. Rest. Robert's hand, thick and shaking, groped for parchment. Right, he muttered. Ned held quill though heart hammered. Robert spoke halting. I hereby name Eddard Stark, Lord Regent Protector, till my son Joffrey comes of age. Ned wrote, though Robert's words slurred. His voice dropped to a whisper only Ned heard. Promise me, protect them, my children. All of them. Make her see reason. Ned nodded. I will. He sealed the parchment. Robert's signature, shaky, scrawled at bottom. Pycelle sanded it. Cersei's face froze between grief and calculation. When Robert slipped into unconsciousness, Cersei straightened. The king requires rest. I'll leave. Ned held the parchment. I stay. Her eyes flicked to the paper. As you will, Lord Protector. She departed smooth as silk. Moments later, Lord Renly entered. He glanced at Robert's pallid face. Too much wine for too little boar. His lips tightened. We must act, Ned. Cersei will crown Joffrey before dawn. Robert named me regent. Paper matters little. Steel speaks. Renly's voice shook with urgency. Take the Lion Gate. Arrest Cersei, her children. Children? Ned stiffened. They are innocent. Innocent of birth? Perhaps. Yet they sit upon the line of succession unlawfully, if rumors hold. Stall and you lose all. Renly turned. I gather loyal men now. Join me or perish. He left. Ned stared at the parchment in trembling hand, mind a gale of vows and possibilities. He thought of Bran lying broken, of Sansa naive, of Arya wild, of war's cost. He wondered if honor bent too far ceased to be honor at all. Across the sea, a raven alighted upon Dragonstone's rookery carrying Peter's forged warning. Maester Cresson broke seal, puzzled by the signature, a friend. He brought it to Stannis Baratheon, who read and scowled. Ned Stark plots my murder. Does he? Stannis's jaw clenched. The man lacks cunning for such villainy. Yet the realm shifts. Cresson set letter down. King Robert's hunt. There is talk of injury. Stannis paced. I should have been at his side. Instead I sit here while vipers feast. He halted. Prepare fleet. We sail for King's Landing at once. Thus one more piece moved upon the board Peter Baelish had stirred. At midday Ned met Varys in the tower stair. Find me Baelish, he hissed. Varys pursed lips. A difficult bird to cage once freed. Yet whispers place him in the Queen's solar. He seeks alliance. Alliance or dagger? Varys sighed. My lord, when storms come, even spiders scurry to high ground.
Ned clenched teeth.
If Robert dies, I will place his will before the council, demand Cersei yield the throne's guardianship to me. And if she refuses, then I pray there is honor left in King's Landing. Varys bowed. Whether in respect or sorrow Ned could not discern. Night rolled with thunderhead clouds. Within Maegor's holdfast, Cersei gathered Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. Baelish stood nearby, lending the illusion of counsel. Renly conspires, he reported. He brings Highgarden might. Then we strike first. She stroked Joffrey's golden hair. When Robert dies, the crown passes at once. Summon the Kingsguard. I want Lord Stark kept from the throne room until my son is crowned. Baelish's eyes sparkled. Consider it done. Outside, torches flared, gold cloaks changing posts under command of Janos Slynt. Newly enriched by a chest of Lannister coin courtesy of Peter. Honor's last defenders dwindled. In the Tower of the Hand, Sansa slept fitful, dreaming of lemon cakes and snow castles. Arya crept from bed, strapped needle to belt. She sensed unease like storm pressure. Nymeria whined at balcony. Arya slipped into hall, padded barefoot, wild curiosity pulling her toward the throne room. Gold cloaks blocked passages, whispering of crowns at dawn. She pressed ear to stone, hearing talk of Stark treason.
Here gut clenched.
She retreated, seeking father. Ned was not in his solar. Guards barred the door. She ran to his bedchamber, empty too. Fear flooded. She darted down servants' stairs toward the stables. Nymeria padded silent behind. Perhaps Jon's lessons guided her reading of danger. If nets close, find water's flow. The city had many flows, alleys, sewers, secret passages. In a forgotten lower corridor, she found Varys speaking with a small girl carrying candle. Arya hid behind pillar. The Hand's daughters must not fall into Joffrey's grip, Varys whispered. Find the Braavosi dancing master. He shall spirit them away by dawn. The girl nodded. Birds will sing. Arya's pulse pounded. She slipped back, heart drumming. Syrio. She raced to quarters where the Bravo slept. There she found him sharpening wooden practice swords by moonlight. "Little cat," he said, smiling. "You should dream." "Dreams ended," Arya gasped. "Father's in danger. We must go." Sirio's dark eyes hardened. "Then we dance swift." He donned cloak, grabbed steel thin as needle. Together they slipped through shadows. In Robert's chamber, candlelight trembled on bedposts. The king's breathing slowed, each exhale shallower. Pycelle dozed. Ned kept vigil, weighing impossible choices. When Robert's eyes opened once more, they were soft. "Ned," he whispered, "I'm here. Tell my Bran. Your boy, forgive." He coughed blood. "We were fools, both. You'll see Stark children safe," Ned swore. "Swear by the gods old and new." Robert's grip tightened, then fell slack. A last breath rattled through him and was gone. Silence as heavy as catacombs filled the room. Ned closed his friend's eyes. "I swear." At that moment, outside the chamber, gold cloaks clashed spears. Cersei had made her first move. As dawn's first ember touched horizon, bells tolled. The king was dead. The Red Keep convulsed with motion. Joffrey, clad in crimson and gold, strode toward the throne room flanked by Kingsguard. Cersei glided behind, face serene. Ned Stark, bearing Robert's sealed will, intercepted them before the Iron Throne. "By the king's own hand, I am named regent," he declared, voice ringing. He offered the parchment. Cersei's lips curled. "A piece of paper is no king." She snapped fingers.
Gold cloaks surrounded ned Esmond.
Janos Slynt stepped forth. "Yield the letter, my lord." Ned's guards hesitated. Ser Barristan Selmy stepped from Kingsguard ranks, reverence warring with duty. "Let the council read." Cersei snatched the letter, tore seal, scanned lines. She smiled faint. "It names protector until my son comes of age. My son stands before you." She tossed letter into brazier. Flame devoured parchment. Gasps erupted. Ned drew breath, heart thundering. "Joffrey is no son of Robert," he said, voice quiet yet heard. Shock rippled. "He is the product of incest between Cersei and her brother Jaime. The king's true heir is Stannis Baratheon." Joffrey shrieked. Cersei's face froze. "Seize him," she hissed. Gold cloaks advanced. Ned's men drew swords but were outnumbered. Peter Baelish stepped behind Ned, sliding a dagger to his throat. "I did warn you," Peter murmured. "Chaos is the ladder." Ned felt cold steel. He met Baelish's eyes. Regret, triumph, sorrow mingled.
Janos Slynt disarmed ned Esmond.
Sansa cried out, running forward. "Mother!" But her mother was leagues away. Arya was nowhere. Joffrey ascended the Iron Throne, blade-edged steel reflecting wildfire dawn. "Bring me Stark's head," he commanded, voice cracking. Cersei placed a hand on his shoulder. "Not yet, sweetling. The realm must see justice, not vengeance. Put him in the black cells. Trial shall come." Ned was dragged, but he recalled Robert's will burnt, Bran's broken body, Catelyn's tears, Baelish's smile. He prayed Arya had escaped. He prayed Stannis came on swift sails. He prayed honor still mattered, even in chains. As iron gates clanged shut, Baelish watched, hand caressing the Valyrian dagger at his hip, no longer caged, blade free. Chaos rose, rung by rung, and somewhere beyond the walls, in the city's warren of alleys, Arya Stark and Syrio Farrell slipped into dawn's first crowd, Nymeria at heel, a whisper of northbourne southward on winter's breath. The bells of Maegor's holdfast tolled low and mournful, like iron hearts beating for the dead king, and their echoes pulsed through every arch and pillar of the Red Keep. Night lingered past dawn, clouds heaping above. King's Landing in ash-gray billows that threatened a storm but could not loose it yet. The corridors smelled of tallow and fear. Ned Stark heard none of the bells in the black cell beneath the Tower of the Hand. Stone swallowed their clamor, leaving only a distant tremor that feathered the walls. A single torch ached in an iron bracket beyond the bars, spitting sparks that drifted like fireflies and died before reaching the floor. He sat against the rough wall, legs drawn up, wrists shackled to a rusted ring, and forced his breathing into the slow rhythm that had steadied him in countless winter watches along the frozen lakes of the north. Patience, he told himself. Honor's price is patience. But each breath scraped his ribs like broken glass. Footsteps rang in the corridor, soft, measured, almost hesitant. Ned lifted his head, and torchlight revealed Peter Baelish, no longer in velvet but in a plain brown doublet, sleeves rolled, as though he meant to scrub a scullery. A jailer trailed him, yawning, keys jangling at his belt. Baelish dismissed the man with a coin that glimmered yellow. When the jailer's footsteps faded, Peter leaned against the bars, one hand curling round a rusty iron spoke. "You look tired, old friend," he murmured. Ned kept his silence. "That parchment you waved, so dramatic." Peter sighed, a fond tutor disappointed in a slow child. "You should have allowed me to guide the wording, or better, let it lie unpublished until allies stood at your back. Words alone are feathers in the wind. Steel and coin give them heft." "Your coin," Ned said, voice rough. "Your steel, not only mine." 1,000 purses jangle in the city, waiting for the clever hand. "Tell me, Ned, did you ever ask how Robert maintained the watch, the fleet, the feasts? The crown's coffers run emptier than a peasant's pantry come winter, yet tables groaned under venison." He smiled, thin as a paper cut. "I found the coin, and now Robert's gone. The coin obeys me."
Ned skiftet, chains clinking.
"Perhaps you'll choke on it. Perhaps," Peter allowed. "In the meantime, you might ask yourself what your head buys your daughters. Joffrey clamors for it daily. Cersei counsels for trial first, but the boy is impatient." "My daughters are no leverage," Ned said. Baelish's eyes glimmered. "All children are leverage." He stepped back, drawing something from his belt. A small silver key. With slow care, he slipped it between the bars, letting it hang on one thin chain link. "It will open your manacles, nothing more," he said. "Escape the cell if you can. Beyond, you'll find corridors thick with gold cloaks. The choice is yours. Chaos is a ladder, but some rungs slice the palms." He turned, footsteps fading. The key swayed, catching torchlight. Ned watched it until it stilled, and only then did he reach. Beyond the walls, the city heaved like a wounded beast. Word of Robert's death spread in taverns faster than wine. Small folk whispered that the stag had fallen to his own cups, that the queen had killed him with witch's dust, that a northern lord had cursed him with winter magic. Each rumor carried a seed of dread. In Flea Bottom, Arya Stark felt the dread in every jostling elbow, every suspicious glance. She and Syrio Farrell moved through narrow alleys that stank of fish rot and night soil, Nymeria padding close, ears flat in the press of bodies. Arya wore a ragged cloak borrowed from a washerwoman's line. Grime smeared her cheeks. Her hair, hacked shorter by Syrio with a fruit knife, bristled in uneven tufts. She looked a gutter boy, half-starved. "Perfect. Quiet as shadow," Syrio reminded her, the words a gentle drumbeat in her ear. "Quick as water. When they look, you are gone." They slipped between barrels and crates to a shuttered wine shop whose owner, an aging merman, owed Syrio favors from distant bravos. Inside, dim candlelight showed dust-choked shelves and a back stair down to a cellar. Here Syrio paused. "I must find the Braavosi ship, Moon's Grace," he whispered. "She sails on tomorrow's tide. You wait one candle, no more. If I do not return, you take the White Tower Road beyond Eastgate. Look for the green lantern on the foremast. Tell the first mate all cats are gray at night. He will hide you." Arya's throat bobbed. "And you?" Syrio brushed a stray lock from her brow. "The first sword cannot leave unfinished dance. If gold cloaks search, I lead them down another street." He handed her 3 silver stags, still warm from his fist. "For sweet cakes when sea is calm." She wanted to hug him, but he was already at the stairs. Remember the water dance, he said, smiling. Remember who you are. She waited, counting heartbeats, then candle drips. The cellar smelled of cork and vinegar. Nymeria paced, restless. When the candle burned halfway, noise above startled her. Crash, voices raised. Arya snuffed flame, darted behind a cask. Boots thudded overhead. Someone screamed. Then silence, broken only by liquid sloshing. Nymeria growled low. Arya crept to the stair and listened. No footsteps retreated. She climbed one step, then another, grip tight on needle. Above, the shop lay in ruin, shelves toppled, broken bottles bleeding dark pools. In the doorway sprawled the Myrish owner, throat opened like a wineskin. Syrio knelt beside him, shoulders rising, falling, a ragged pant. His wooden sword lay splintered across two gold cloaks who bled into sawdust. A third cloaked figure pressed a spear against Sirio's ribs. "Girl!" Syrio gasped, seeing Arya in the stairwell. The spearman turned. Arya lunged. Needle flashed, sinking beneath Clinican mail into the hollow below the arm. The man shrieked, staggered. Nymeria leapt, jaws closing on his neck. His scream ended wetly. "Syrio!" Arya dropped to her knees. A spreading scarlet stain darkened his silk doublet. "Little cat," he breathed.
No tears.
He pushed a small leather packet into her palm. Moon's grace, 4-day light. His eyes fixed on hers. "Vala Morgulus." He smiled once, and the smile stilled. Arya's tears blurred the cellar lamp, but boot sounds clattered in the lane. Reinforcements. She wiped eyes on sleeve, rose. Needle in hand, packet in pocket, Nymeria beside her. She slipped through a gap in shattered shutters, vanishing into an alley even as new gold cloaks burst the front door.
No shadow clings forever.
At the docks beneath Dragonstone's looming basalt fortress, gulls screamed against a rising wind. Stannis Baratheon stood on the pier in black doublet and cloak, face like carved granite. Behind him, rows of oared galleys rocked, lanterns swinging. Maester Cresson shuffled at his side, breath misting. "My lord," Cresson pleaded. "The raven may be false. Ned Stark ruled Robert's will. He has no motive for murder." Stannis's jaw worked, and yet Robert lies in a coffin, and Lannister cub sits the throne. Stark's honor gains him little under a lion's paw. If he lives, he is prisoner. "Then free him," Cresson urged. "Rally the realm's good men, Ser Barristan, Lord Tully, Lord Manderley. Do not sail to war with half your strength." Stannis's eyes glinted like flint struck by steel. "I sail to duty." He pivoted, cloak snapping, and strode toward his flagship Fury. Drums thundered. Lines were cast. By sunrise, Stannis's fleet churned north, black sails swallowing the dawn, dragons breathing on banners newly stitched with a red heart ablaze. Moat Cailin crouched amid fetid bogs, its weathered towers mottled with lichen, but its stones still guarded the neck like fangs. Within its highest keep, Catelyn Tully Stark paced between arrow-slit windows, listening to frogs croak in distant pools beneath the humming din of insects. Bran rested on a pallet, summer curled at his feet. Hodder sat nearby rubbing ointment into calloused palms. Outside, the wind carried the lonely cry of a marsh hen. A rider had arrived at dusk bearing news from White Harbor. Ships under crimson sails hove close to shore 2 days past, refusing to dock, then turned south.
No banners flown.
Lord Manderley suspected Lysine cell sails, though none wore their usual seahorse. Catelyn's heart hammered. If those were the Golden Company, Baelish's lie gained fangs. She summoned Galbart Glover, commander of the guard. "We must be ready," she said. "Dig pits along the causeway, fell trees across the western track. If Sellsword's march, their horses will founder in the mud." "Lady Stark," Glover replied, "our numbers are thin, 200 archers, half that again of spears. Even bog slows only so long. Then we hold so long. My son Robb gathers banners. Time is all we need." She glanced at Bran, sleeping fitfully. Send ravens at once to Deepwood Motte and Bear Island. The North must wake. That night she dreamt of riverruns rushing waters carrying bodies clad in lion mail, and of a mockingbird singing over the carnage. At Winterfell, Robb Stark stood before the hearth in the Great Hall, reading a letter by firelight. Lord Walder Frey, late Lord Frey, had replied at last. He would grant the Stark host passage at the Twins, if Robb would send his heir to Foster at the Crossing and assure marriage alliances for Arya and Sansa to Frey sons yet unnamed. Robb crushed the parchment, jaw tight. Freys never give, Great John Umber growled, looming nearby. They bargain with life itself. We need that bridge, Robb said. Without it, weeks march to find another crossing. He paced. Sansa and Arya are in the Queen's grip. What use to promise their hands while they are hostages? Toss Frey his own bridge, Great John snorted. Take it and march south. My father would call that dishonor. Robb's eyes touched the direwolf banner. His honor is ours. The hall doors opened. Maester Luwin entered, parchment in trembling hand. Raven from King's Landing. He passed it to Robb. By hearthlight Robb read the neat script. Lord Robb Stark, your father stands accused of treason. He conspired with Stannis Baratheon to usurp the throne. He will answer these crimes before the king. Remain in Winterfell and no harm befalls your sisters. Defy us and they die. Lord Regent Joffrey Baratheon. Under the words glistened a faint rust smear, blood or wax. Robb crumpled the letter, jaw trembling. Great John, he said, voice low, steady. Summon the banners tonight. We ride within 2 days. If Frey blocks passage, we find another way, over bridge, through water, or atop Frey corpses. My father lives. My sisters live. We will reach them. The Great John grinned, savage and proud. I, Lord Stark. The North rides. Grey wind howled, echoing through Winterfell's towers like a clarion for war. Day cracked above King's Landing, a blade of pale gold slicing cloud cover. Atop the ramparts of the Red Keep, Sansa Stark leaned against cold stone, eyes red-rimmed. Below, the courtyard bustled. Smiths hammered helms, gold cloaks drilled with spears, and stable boys fetched fresh mounts for messengers riding to Storm's End, Casterly Rock, Highgarden. War's smell seeped through mortar. Iron, sweat, fear. Ser Boros Blunt halted behind her in white plate, visor up. His Grace requests your presence, Lady Sansa. He bowed stiffly. Bring your dog. Lady is a dire wolf, Sansa whispered, stroking the white and gray fur. But she followed. Refusal was unthinkable. The throne room was a forest of spears. Kingsguard on one flank, gold cloaks on the other. Joffrey lounged upon the iron throne, crown askew, legs sprawled. Cersei stood at his shoulder, face carved in calm disdain. Sansa visualized lemon cakes to steady herself. Sweetling, the queen purred. You will pen a letter to your brother today, your own hand, your own words. Tell him Lord Stark confessed his guilt and begs Robb to lay down arms. My father would never confess, Sansa said, voice trembling. But if it spares him, it will, Cersei promised. Obedience is mercy. Then we shall escort your father back to Winterfell, safe and sound. Joffrey smirked. Unless he displeases me again.
Sansa sdalovet bile.
I will write. A scribe brought parchment. Quill poised, Sansa paused. Lady's ears flicked. The wolf's nose wrinkled at some scent among courtiers. Sansa thought of Arya somewhere in the city's maw, of Bran broken and Robb alone, of her mother's tales of riverrun loyalty. She lowered quill and began. Robb, beloved brother, father is well cared for. He urges peace and trust in the throne. Come to King's Landing, bend the knee, and all will be forgiven. The quill hovered. A single tear fell, smudging the ink. She finished, signed her name, and set the pen aside. Cersei read, nodded. Seal it. Joffrey clapped. A royal command delivered. Now amuse me. Make the wolf sit. Sansa glanced at Lady. Sit, she whispered. Lady lowered her haunches, eyes on Sansa. Joffrey yawned. Roll over. Sansa hesitated. Direwolves were not dogs. They rolled for no boy king. Cersei's gaze sharpened. Sansa knelt beside Lady, hand trembling. Please, she whispered. Lady sensed fear, whined. She did not roll. Joffrey's face twisted. Useless. If the beast will not obey, perhaps we should skin it and gift the pelt to the hound.
Sansa choqueda sob.
Cersei's lips curved. Enough games, Joff. We attend council. They swept past. Ser Boros hauled Sansa upright, escorting her and Lady to royal apartments. Inside her chamber, Sansa fell onto the bed, clutching Lady's fur, tears silent. She felt the realm shut around her like a golden cage, the bars etched in lion's claws. In the cellars beneath the Red Keep, Varys glided through torchlit tunnels to where Ned Stark grappled with his manacles. The key Baelish had left had turned, but one hinge still clung. Ned paused as the eunuch emerged. "My lord," Varys whispered, "you must not linger here. Queen has decreed trial tomorrow at dawn, by pain of sword. Confess treason, she says, and she will send you to the wall. Refuse and—" He drew a finger across his throat. "Lie," Ned said. "Truth. But the wall's watch is far from mercy. Beyond it roam white shadows. Yet it spares your daughters. Joffrey wants your head, but the queen still holds him. Your confession saves those girls." Ned's throat tightened. He thought of Lyanna, of a promise in a bed of blood and roses, of children more precious than thrones. "What must I say? That you plotted with Stannis, forged the will, sought to steal the crown, pledge fealty to Joffrey. And what of true heir? The realm is not a book of law. It lives in men's hearts. Give them peace now, claim truth later." Ned bowed his head. Honor screamed. But the image of Sansa's fright-wide eyes steadied his resolve. "I will do it," he said. Varys closed eyes briefly. "I shall inform the queen." Ned grasped the cell bars. "Varys, Arya, is she safe?" The eunuch sighed. "I cannot find her, but the city has many holes for a mouse to hide. Pray she remains hidden until storm passes." He vanished, leaving Ned to the flickering torch and the rattle of chains, wondering which oath mattered most in a world where every vow slit another throat. Storm clouds finally burst that night, rain sheeting across rooftops, sluicing filthy streets, drumming on shuttered windows like soldiers' fists. In Flea Bottom, Arya crouched beneath a sagging awning, chewing stale bread stolen from a market stall. The leather packet Sirio had given her lay open. 5 thin needles of Bravosi steel, throwing daggers, and a folded scrap of parchment with a painted sigil, a crescent moon crossed by a sword. She traced it with muddy finger. Moon's grace, dawn tide. Nymeria nudged her shoulder, restless. Lightning flashed, thunder rolled. In the flare, Arya saw gold cloaks rounding a corner, torches guttering in the rain. They called names. "Stark girl." She slid deeper into shadow, heart pounding, and slipped down a narrow side run to a sewer grate half submerged in runoff. She pried it open, dropped into the stench, and let Nymeria bound after, grate clanging shut above. Darkness swallowed them but for faint phosphorescence on damp walls. She tread through knee-deep water, echoes distant as ghost voices. She would find the docks by sunrise, she told herself. Sirio's ship would carry her north or east or somewhere beyond Lannister spears. She would return with a host of Bravosi swords and carve her father free. Needle's tip pricked her palm, reminding her to keep moving. Dawn broke steel gray. Rain slowed to mist. In the throne room, torches still burned, fighting gloom. The court assembled. Lords in crimson brocade, ladies in jewels, preening lesser knights, and the small folk crowding gallery balconies. Judgment Day had come. Ned Stark entered between 2 gold cloaks. His hair hung damp, his beard untrimmed, yet he carried himself tall despite chains. He saw Sansa at the front, face pale. Lady lay at her feet, head on paws, but eyes alert. Joffrey perched on the Iron Throne, crown newly polished, Cersei at his side in emerald silk, Baelish standing just behind the Queen's shoulder, lips curved. Grand Maester Pycelle intoned. Lord Eddard Stark, formerly Hand of the King, stands accused of treason, of conspiring with Stannis Baratheon, forging the late king's words and plotting to steal the crown. Ned's voice carried across stone. I confess. A hush rippled. He continued, I conspired to depose Joffrey Baratheon. I forged the king's last command. I call myself traitor and beg mercy of the crown and the gods. Sansa sobbed, relief mingled with shame. Joffrey's grin spread. Cersei inclined head. His grace is merciful. Take the black, Lord Stark, and live out your days. No, Joffrey said. His voice cracked but grew. My mother would have mercy, but they have not seen his head. Bring me his head. The court gasped. Cersei whirled. Joff! No! He rose, hand gripping Sword Lion's tooth. He is a traitor. His head. Now! Chaos erupted. Sansa screamed. Lady snarled, leaping. A Kingsguard spear struck Wolf flank. Lady yelped, spun, but sprang again, fangs at White Cloak. Gold Cloak surged. Ser Island Payne, royal headsman, stepped forth, greatsword raised. Pycelle sputtered protests. Varys clutched robe. Baelish watched, expression blank, only eyes alive. Ned knelt as Payne approached, blade reflecting torchlight. He looked at Sansa, one last time and mouthed, I'm sorry. Then Payne swung. Steel met flesh, and the bells of the holdfast tolled again, loud and final, drowning Sansa's scream. Blood spattered crimson across white marble and gold plate. Lady howled. Spears felled her, body sliding at Sansa's feet. Thunder cracked outside, as though heavens themselves roared vengeance. Cersei's face blanched. A child's monster groaned beyond leash. Baelish exhaled, calculating new contours of chaos. On the city's edge, the tide churned murky brown. Moon's grace weighed anchor at first light, preparing sail. Arya, soaked from sewer crawl, emerged behind stacked crates. She spied the crescent sword flag, heart leaping, but shouts erupted upriver. Crowds surged toward the fish market, wailing of Stark blood shed. Lannister banners unfurled. The first mate, a squat man with a scarred lip, oversaw cargo. Arya crept near, dagger poised. She whispered the passphrase, all cats are gray at night. He eyed her ragged cloak, the wolf at heel. Recognition flickered. Where is the Bravosi? Dead, she said. The mate's expression tightened. Storm breaks. He jerked head. Stow below. We sail as nets are stowed. She followed, heart numb, mind aflame. Nymeria slipped behind her. As hatch shut, she heard distant bells tolling again, this time for her father. She pressed palms to ears, but bells tolled inside H.
Eascal, echoing.
A wolf cannot hide from its howl. Wind whipped across the battlements of Winterfell as ravens arrived in dusky twilight. Robb tore open the first scroll, hands trembling. Words blurred. Lord Eddard Stark executed. Treason. Joffrey Baratheon. A second raven bore a note from Sansa. Lines shaky. Blotched. I saw it. Please bend the knee. Save me. Robb's roar rattled rafters. Greatjon burst in. Robb thrust the letters into calloused hands. Greatjon's face darkened. Hell take the boy king. Hushed voices spread the news. Maester Luwin found Bran in the broken tower, telling him in gentle tones. Bran wept without sound, tears silver under torch shine. Summer nuzzled his cheek. Robb summoned bannermen by torchbearer. Karstarks, Umbers, Boltons, Tallhearts, Manderly envoys, Glover scouts. All filed into the hall below the carved direwolf. Snow drifted through high windows, sticking on furs and helms. Robb stood before them, voice hoarse but strong. The Lannisters have murdered my father. They hold my sisters. If we bend now, we bend forever. I ride south, through Twins or over Red Fork, to crush the lion and free my blood. Greatjon drew sword, raised it high. To king in the north. Others echoed, blades scraping free like winter thunder. King in the north. Their roar shook dust from rafters. Robb felt the words slam into his chest like a hammer striking iron. Shaping him, remaking him. Outside, gray wind howled to the snow-laden sky, answer ringing from every direwolf across field and forest as though winter itself had chosen a king. Maester Cresson stood on Dragonstone's wind-lashed parapet, watching Stannis' fleet carve foamy wakes toward Storm's End. A raven-winged north, letter bound to its leg. Stannis' formal claim, naming Joffrey bastard of incest, proclaiming himself king. Lightning forked distant cloud banks, illuminating the bird's lonely flight. "Gods help us all," Cresson whispered. In a torchlit corridor of the Red Keep, Peter Baelish paused before a narrow window. Rain spattered across the city roofs, washing blood into gutters. He inhaled damp air, tasted iron, and allowed himself a minute's quiet. Behind him, Varys approached, robes whispering. "You have cast the stone," the eunuch said softly. "Now watch the ripples drown us." Baelish smiled without turning. "Ripples, dear spider?"
No.
I loosed the storm. The board resets, new players rise. And in storm, one may climb higher than ever dreamed. Varys's gaze held sorrow. "A man who brings storm should beware the lightning." Baelish touched the Valyrian dagger at his hip. "Lightning strikes at random. I prefer a sure blade." He strolled away, humming a tune once sung on the fingers, while thunder rolled above a city teetering between crown and sword. Night deepened over Westeros, and fires bloomed. Campfires of marching northern hosts, hearth fires of fearful small folk, funeral pyres of a fallen king. In the silent spaces between flames, ravens beat frantic wings, carrying words that would fracture thrones and forge new ones. Somewhere on the Bight, a solitary ship cut through choppy waves, a brave little blade of moonlight cleaving the dark. Below decks, Arya Stark clutched needle and stared at nothing, lips moving soundlessly, the names of all she would kill. Across the sea, Stannis' banners snapped. At Winterfell, Robb's wolf prowled ramparts. And in a damp cell where no torch burned now, the headless body of Ned Stark grew cold, but honor's echo lingered, refusing silence. Honor's seed sprouts in blood. One day its roots crack stone. The game was no longer Peter Baelish's. It belonged to every wolf and lion, every stag and kraken, every shadow with sword or secret, and it had only just begun.